Good morning, everyone. My name is Michaela Russ. I'm a student leadership assistant here at the Marvin Center for Student Leadership. Student leadership assistants are a group of individuals who are excited about leadership and positive social change. We do that through different things such as facilitations, COVID-19 program, and group development. So here we have our meeting in person in our new normal COVID-19 programming session, and I am so excited to have you guys here today. So to get started, we're going to do some group introductions, go over our expectations for this meeting. We'll talk about finding spaces on campus, a COVID-19 safety plan for your group, a commitment to safety form for members, and then leading an engaging meeting. Awesome. So if you want to go ahead and pause your screen if you're with somebody else, I know this is online, but we'll go over names, your pronouns if you're comfortable, the organization you're representing, and would you rather be asked the same question over and over again or never be spoken to ever again? So while you're doing that, I will also do that. Again, my name is Michaela Russ. My pronouns are she, her, hers. The organization I'm representing is the Marvin Center for Student Leadership. And I would rather be asked the same question over and over again because I would get lonely and I also like to talk. So some expectations for our meeting. I would say always using inclusive language, so person first language, staying positive and having an open mind. I know this time has been hard for all of us to adjust to, and by no means am I an expert, but I think these ideas will bring something new to your meeting and help us all stay safe. And then lastly, just minimize the distractions. I know you're online already, but if you're doing homework or have your phone, go ahead and put those to the side for this brief presentation. So we'll go ahead and get started with finding spaces on campus. So any student organization can do this through conference and event services. This is located at Bowen Thompson Student Union 231. So if you were to go into the union right by Falcon Outfitters on the lower level, you'll walk up the flight of stairs and it is on your right-hand side. I do recommend when you're trying to find a space to go in and do it physically because they have some forms and some questions to ask you. But of course, if you are not comfortable doing that, you can give them a phone call or write down their email that I have posted on the screen, shoot them an email, and they'll get back to you with the paperwork that you need to fill out. Some of the questions that they're going to ask you, of course, what's your name? What student organization is it for? What's the event for? How many people are you having at the event? And then they'll ask you, of course, to fill out some paperwork and make sure that you're following the guidelines put in place for coronavirus. Speaking of that, can anyone tell me or maybe list off some of the policies that BGSU has put in place to make sure that we stay safe? Go ahead and pause your screen and put those out into the world right here. Some of the ones that I can think of are wearing your mask at all times while being on campus, frequent hand washing, symptom checking, and social distancing. So in talking about that, it's really important to create a safety plan for your group. When coming on campus, we need to make sure that we're following all of the guidelines that BG has put in place for us to stay safe. Here are some ways that I have found have been helpful in doing this. So registration, I definitely recommend having people RSVP for your event before you go to conference and event services. That way you can get a head count of who all is interested in coming to your event. Next is having a timed entry to ensure that all of your members can stay safe and socially distanced. So I'm also a member of the cheerleading program, and the way that we do this is by grades. So freshmen will come first, then sophomores, then juniors, then seniors. And so that way we can all stay socially distanced. The next is a check-in process. So again, we did that registration earlier. We're making sure that the people who did RSVP are here and that people who did not are not there because we didn't account for them. And so in this time frame that we're in with coronavirus, that's not really safe to have extra people showing up when you only planned on 50 coming and now there's 75. We didn't account for that, so now we're unsafe. So we need to make sure in our check-in that only the people who RSVP'd for our event are showing up. During this check-in process, you can give a mask reminder. You can ask them if they've had any symptoms recently, give them some hand sanitizer, and then allow them to enter the room. You can follow the same process when leaving, again, to make sure we're staying safe and social distanced. So commitment to safety form. So by no means should this form be mandatory, but it should definitely be recommended. Basically, all the form says is I, Michaela Russ, commit to the safety of this group by making sure that I'm following procedures outside of our meeting time to ensure that we can continue to meet in person because we did the work outside of our meeting time. So when we're not meeting, I am making sure that I'm always wearing my masks, I'm social distance, I'm frequently washing my hands, so that way I can stay safe and healthy. And when I come to meet, I can ensure that my peers are staying safe and healthy because I did the work outside of our meeting time. This form can also be used to help guide maybe tough conversations. So say you saw one of your members outside not following these safety precautions, you can bring up the commitment to safety form and say, hey, like our group signed this and you weren't following these procedures. Would you mind maybe coming to our meeting through Zoom instead of meeting in person, because we did see that you weren't doing these things outside of our meeting time. We don't feel comfortable with that. So again, this shouldn't be mandatory, but I definitely recommend it, and I think you should recommend it to your peers. You can be a leader by signing it yourself and saying, hey guys, like I filled this out, I'm committed to your safety. I would appreciate if you did the same. So next we're going to talk about leading an engaging meeting in person when we have to stay socially distanced to ensure that we stay safe. So it starts with you. You, the facilitator, you need to make sure you are bringing the energy. Whatever energy you're giving off, the audience will only take away 50%. So if I'm giving you 50% of my energy, the audience is taking away nothing from that meeting. It's so important that you're having high energy, positive attitude, making sure that you're projecting your voice, making eye contact. When you're making eye contact with somebody, it is so hard for them not to pay attention to you because you are looking directly at them. So I'm really encouraging you using that one, especially if maybe the meeting's early in the morning or late at night where you might have some people not as engaged in what you're doing. These are some little ways that you, the facilitator, can engage your audience members. Some things to avoid. If you need to yawn or go have a moment, make sure that you do that away from the group. You do not want to allow audience members to see you having that moment because it'll bring the whole energy down. So again, body language is super important. Project your voice, be confident, make eye contact. And then lastly, involve your audience members. So involving your audience members allows them to participate in what you're doing. They're more engaged. They're likely to come back because they had a good time at your meeting. So some ways that I like to do this. For an introduction activity, I don't know if you guys have ever played the I'm Going Camping game. This is a great way to introduce names. So if I were leading this, I would say, hey guys, like my name's Michaela. I'm bringing melons to our camping trip, and this is my friend Claire, and she's bringing cantaloupes. So how it would work is you have to say your name and then a food or an item that begins with the first letter, and then next to you there would be somebody and you have to say their name and something that they're bringing that starts with the first letter of their name. Something maybe to break up some topics here. So say you talked for like 30 minutes and you need a break. A fun game that you can play is tell some random people to go grab some objects around them. So I'm coming back with this blue highlighter. And then as the facilitator, you would say, you have 30 seconds to sell your blue highlighter to the entire group. This is the best object that you've ever had in your entire life. Sell it to the group. So I would get so excited about this blue highlighter because I would want the group to buy it. And the other three would do the same. I've seen this game get crazy. It's a super fun time, and the group likes voting on who did the best job. Kind of puts people on the spot. It's a bit of a fun activity. And then lastly, involving the audience members after the meeting. So I like to do this with a follow-up email. It'll kind of conclude our meeting, give a brief summary of what we did, and then thank them for their time and invite them to our next meeting. So that way we get continued participation at our meetings. Awesome. So if you're with somebody else, go ahead and discuss what you think of these activities. Thanks.